AITA for putting traps in the food in the fridge and turning my house into a food tracking system after my stepfather's kids ate everything I bought with my own money. They weren't prepared for this. My name is Amanda. I'm 19, and this summer I've really started thinking maybe I made a big mistake coming home during break. I'm in college, and like lots of students, I came back to my old house to save money before school starts again. I thought it would feel normal, maybe even kind of boring. But instead, I've spent the past month feeling hungry, annoyed, and like I don't even exist in a house that doesn't feel like mine anymore. Let me explain. I live with my mom, her boyfriend, I'll call him Steve, my twin little sisters, Kayla and Riley. They're both 15. And guess what? Steve's two sons, who are 13 and 12, are here too. Their names don't really matter because we hardly even talk. When I left for college last fall, Steve's kids didn't live with us. They came sometimes on weekends. That's it. When I asked my mom if they were going to live with us forever, she gave me a weird answer like, "We'll see how things go." Well, I guess "we'll see" meant yes. Because when I came back this summer, the house was packed. All the rooms were taken. The kitchen was a total mess. The living room was full of video games, dirty clothes, and soda cans. And the fridge, that's where the real story starts. I know teen boys eat a lot. I get it. But this wasn't just regular growing boy hunger. This was wild, all day long, no one cares kind of food stealing. That first week, I saw it right away. My mom bought groceries on Monday. By Wednesday, every single thing, bread, fruit, chips, leftovers, cereal, juice, milk, was totally gone. Not just low, gone. I'd open the fridge and only see ketchup and a bottle of pickle juice. At first, I tried to keep up. I thought, okay, I'll just eat early. So I started waking up at 7 a.m. just to get a bowl of cereal before it disappeared. That worked for 2 days, until one of the boys decided he liked waking up early too. He made 5 waffles, scrambled eggs, ate a whole avocado, and drank the last of the almond milk I bought for myself, all before 8 a.m. It became a thing. Grocery day would come, and in 2 days, it was all gone. I'm not even joking when I say they eat non-stop, like it's a game. First breakfast, then a second breakfast, usually something gross like mac and cheese with hot sauce and melted cheese. Then lunch, sometimes sandwiches, sometimes burgers if someone cooked. Then dinner, then 4 or 5 trips to the kitchen all night, grabbing ramen, frozen snacks, chips, whatever. They even microwave whole plates of leftovers at 1 a.m. and leave the dirty dishes in the sink. I tried talking to my mom. I said, "I'm not trying to be mean, but there's never food and I'm sick of coming home to an empty fridge." She looked at me like I was overreacting and said, "I always tell them to save some for you." Like saying that actually does anything. I told her that never works, and she just sighed and said, "They're growing boys, Amanda." Okay, but what about me? I live here too. I need to eat too. But no matter how many times I said it, nothing changed. My sisters ate a lot too, not as bad as the boys, but they still helped make the food disappear. Still, the main problem was Steve's sons, and it started to feel like my mom didn't care about me anymore, like I didn't matter. So I stopped arguing. I started hiding food. If we had pizza and I was working the next day, I'd put 2 slices in a container with my name on it. But it didn't matter. I'd come home tired and starving, open the fridge, and the container would be there, but empty. Sometimes the lid would be on the counter. One time, someone took a bite of my leftovers and threw the rest away. That was the day I broke down. I cried in my car. I know it sounds silly, but I was so tired. I work part-time and take summer classes online. I pay for my gas, school stuff, and most of my own food. I was hiding food like a raccoon and still getting robbed. So I stopped being nice. I took out my mini fridge from college and put it next to my desk. I went shopping with my own money and filled it with frozen meals, fruit, drinks, and snacks just for me. I bought a little lockbox for dry snacks and kept it in my room too. Now when I cook, it's just for me. I don't use the shared food. I don't use shared dishes unless I clean them myself first. I order DoorDash when I can pay for it. I eat when I want. And if the fridge is empty again in 2 days, I don't care anymore. At first, no one noticed, but then my sisters started asking me to make extra food for them. I said no. My mom asked if I could share my DoorDash when hers didn't come yet. I said no. Then she said something that made me so mad. We were sitting in the kitchen. It was empty, of course, except for some crumbs and half a stick of butter. And my mom said, "You know, Amanda, you only think about yourself lately. You live here too. Maybe try thinking about the whole family." That felt like a slap. I just stared at her. I reminded her that I used to think about everyone, that I labeled my food and shared when I cooked. But no one cared when they were stealing my lunch or raiding the fridge at 2 in the morning. No one cared when I asked for food to be saved. Now I was the selfish one just because I stopped letting myself go hungry? She shook her head and said, "You've never liked Steve's boys. That's what this is really about." And that's when I knew she wasn't listening to me at all. It's not about them being here. I don't hate them, but they're not my brothers. They're not my job. And I'm not here to suffer just to keep things nice for everyone else. I'm 19. I shouldn't have to hide my food like a squirrel just to eat during the week. I shouldn't have to choose between eating and keeping everyone happy. So now this is just how it is. I stay in my room. I eat my own food. I lock the door when I leave so no one takes my stuff. If the others are hungry and the fridge is empty, they can wait until Steve gets paid. Not my problem. Still, I feel a little bad. I know it seems cold. I don't want to be the person hiding food while others are hungry, but I'm also tired of being ignored in my own house, tired of being treated like I don't matter. Maybe I am selfish, or maybe I'm just done. So tell me, am I the... Update. So, I think my mom read my journal or someone opened my snack box and got upset. I don't know who it was, but something made her mad because yesterday, right before dinner, she knocked on my door. And I mean, she really knocked, not just yelled from the hallway like usual. That alone was weird. She said we're having a family meeting, like she was doing me a big favor. When I got downstairs, Steve was already on the couch, looking smug, like he was the boss of the house or something. My sisters were on the floor watching TikToks. Steve's 2 sons were eating chips that looked like they came from my stash. I didn't even check. I sat down on the edge of the couch with my arms crossed. My mom said, "We're a blended family now, and everyone needs to do their part." It sounded like she read something online. I calmly asked her what she meant by part. She said everyone should help buy food and keep the kitchen stocked. Then Steve said the line that made me so angry. He said, "It's not fair that Amanda gets her own food stash while the rest of us are struggling." He looked right at me like I was hiding treasure in my closet instead of soup and burritos. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because I was about to cry or scream, and laughing felt safer. I asked him if it was fair that people always ate my food, even when it had my name on it. He didn't answer. I asked him if it was fair that I bought my food with my money and it still disappeared. Nothing. He just sat there with that smug face like I didn't matter. So I told them, if they want me to help again, I need 2 things, respect and safety. My food stays mine unless I say so. No more stealing, no more excuses. That's when my mom snapped. She said I had a bad attitude, was being selfish and ruining the family. She said Steve was trying really hard and I wasn't giving him a chance. I'd heard all this before, but this time it felt like a warning. Then Steve stood up. He didn't yell or swear, he just said, "If you don't like how things are, maybe you should stay somewhere else for a while." That felt like a punch in the gut, not because I was surprised, but because I wasn't. I'd already been thinking about where I could go, how much money I had, which friends were still in town. I knew this was coming.
And there it was, like they were kicking me out nicely. I didn't say anything, not because I didn't know what to say, but because I knew they'd twist it later. I wanted to scream that I tried, that I didn't ask for any of this. But before I could say anything, someone else did. Qley, the quieter twin, looked up from her phone and said, "She's not wrong. They eat everything. I saw them take food from her lunch bag. The room went quiet. Totally silent. For the first time, someone said the truth, and it wasn't me. Steve looked shocked, like he didn't think anyone else noticed. My mom opened her mouth, then shut it. Riley looked at them both and gave a tiny nod. That was it. No big speech, no yelling, just quiet truth that hit harder than anything I could have said. I didn't stick around. I went to my room and shut the door. No one followed, no one knocked. Nothing got fixed, but something changed, because for once, I wasn't the only one saying it. Update 2. I thought things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. It happened last week. I had just finished a long, tiring 8-hour shift at the coffee shop where I work. I had been on my feet all day, dealing with rude customers, messy teens, and a broken espresso machine that kept hissing steam at me. All I wanted was to go home, crawl into bed, and eat the chicken Alfredo I made the night before. I was thinking about that food like it was my happy place. It was in a glass container, sitting in my mini fridge. The one next to my desk, my last little safe space in this crazy house. When I got home, the house felt weird, too quiet. It was like the walls were holding their breath. I went upstairs, walked to my room, and turned the doorknob. It opened fine. Nothing seemed strange at first. But then I looked at the corner. The fridge was gone. Not moved a little, not unplugged. Gone. Like magic, like it was never there. My heart dropped. I stood there frozen, then ran inside like I was chasing a ghost. I checked under the desk, behind the bed, even the closet, like a fridge could hide with my shoes. And that's when I saw it. A little wet trail on the wooden floor, coming from where the fridge used to be. It went out my door, down the hall, and around the stairs. I followed it, step by step, feeling angrier with every step. My stomach was tight. I was fuming. When I got to the kitchen, I stopped. There it was. My mini fridge, just sitting in the middle of the kitchen like someone put it there on purpose. It was wide open, empty, totally cleaned out. All the food I bought with my hard-earned money, gone. Leftovers, snacks, protein shakes, even my emergency ice cream hidden behind the frozen veggies, all gone. Not even a crumb left. They didn't even leave wrappers in the trash. Just nothing, like a food thief had swept it clean. I turned to my mom. She was sitting at the table, scrolling on her phone. I asked, "What the heck happened?" She didn't even look at me. She just said my fridge took up too much space in my room and that I lived in a shared house now. Like that made it okay. Like stealing my food and stuff was no big deal. Then Steve spoke up. Oh, Steve. He looked up from his laptop with that same smug smile like he knew everything. He said, maybe now I'd learn how to share like a normal person. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. Right then, I made a plan. The next day, I skipped breakfast. Instead, I went to the store. I didn't need much, just sticky labels, a black marker, some meal containers, and one tiny bottle hidden behind the hot sauces. It was concentrated capsaicin, super hot pepper extract. The label basically screamed, "Use gloves." This wasn't silly hot sauce. This stuff was fire in a bottle. That night, when everyone was asleep, or pretending not to notice me, I got to work in the kitchen. I made mac and cheese, super creamy and perfect looking. I made sandwiches with turkey, cheese, lettuce, and just a tiny bit of that hot stuff, so small you couldn't see it. I labeled everything with happy little stickers. Fresh snacks, made with love. Then I went back to my room, locked the door, and waited. It didn't take long. The next morning, I heard the fridge open and footsteps on the tile floor. A few minutes later, It started. The first scream came from the younger boy. It was loud and panicky, echoing up the stairs like a siren. Then I heard a cup drop, something crash in the sink, and more yelling. I didn't even have to look. I knew what happened. The sandwiches got them. The older boy tried to rinse his mouth out with orange juice, which only made it worse. There was coughing, more yelling, then Steve's voice asking what was going on. He tried the mac and cheese himself because he thought the boys were just being dramatic. 30 seconds later, he was red-faced, gasping, and holding the sink. When I finally walked into the kitchen, it was chaos. The boys were chugging milk from the carton, sweating and blotchy. Steve was pacing, muttering about lawsuits and irresponsible behavior. My mom was standing off to the side, arms crossed, looking tired but trying not to show it. Steve turned to me like I was some evil mastermind and said I made food his kids didn't like. I didn't blink. I just tilted my head and said calmly, "You told me to share. That was my dinner. Just seasoned really well." I watched his face change. He was slowly realizing what happened.
He looked at my mom, waiting for her to yell at me like usual. But this time, she didn't. She didn't say I was wrong. She didn't defend Steve. She didn't repeat one of her usual lines about family and respect. She just stood there, quiet. Maybe it was the way Steve was sweating and wheezing into his water glass. Maybe it was my sister backing me up during the last meeting. Or maybe, just maybe, she finally saw how far I'd been pushed. Either way, she said nothing. And that silence meant everything. Because for the first time all summer, she didn't take Steve's side. Update 3. After the spicy food thing, nobody touched my food again. It was like my containers were cursed. Every time I opened the fridge, my meals were sitting right where I left them, untouched, perfect, like magic. For the first time all summer, I felt safe eating the food I bought myself. But that didn't mean everything was fine. The house still felt heavy, like a storm cloud was sitting over it. My mom walked around like I broke her heart, like I picked some silly fight instead of being part of the family bond she kept talking about. Steve didn't say much, but his eyes did. That smug look he always had was gone, cracked. He couldn't just act like the big man anymore. Every time he walked by me, it felt like he wanted me to say sorry for making him look stupid. I never said sorry. And my sisters? They went quiet too. No more speaking up, no more little nods, just silence. We were all just floating around the house like strangers. That's when I realized something. I didn't need to yell to win. I didn't need to fight harder. I just had to be smarter. So I did what any tired, hungry college student raised on pettiness and survival would do. I started my plan. Operation Money Sabotage. I started slow. I didn't argue, I didn't cry, I just watched. I studied how the food disappeared. What went the fastest? Sugary cereal, cheap cheese, junky microwave snacks. Who did the shopping? Mostly my mom. When? Usually on Saturdays. What did she keep buying again and again? The same junk that disappeared in days. It was like I was watching a zoo fall apart. Then I started phase 1, changing what got bought. I didn't lie. I just made comments. Like, "Wow, those hot dogs Steve likes, gone in 2 days. He must love those." Or, "Those cheesy microwave cups, never got to try one. They vanished by Monday." Just silly little things, but they worked. She started buying more of the junk. I kept pushing her to buy cheap, unhealthy stuff that didn't last. Stuff that filled the cart but didn't fill anyone's belly. And the food started disappearing even faster. The fridge would be stuffed Saturday, totally empty by Monday. The grocery money couldn't stretch anymore. People started getting cranky. Steve's sons complained to him. My sisters whined to Mom. Even Steve mumbled about spending too much on nothing. And me? I just sat back, eating my own food quietly, sipping my protein shakes, watching it all fall apart. Then I started phase 2, the spreadsheet. I stayed up all night making it. I used colors. Blue was for shared food, green was food that I bought, red was things that disappeared fast. I counted how much each thing cost, who ate what, and how much they contributed. I wrote down little notes like, milk bought Saturday, gone by Sunday night, and cheese slices, 24 count, gone in 3 days, that's 8 slices per day. Who's eating triple? I didn't accuse anyone, I just asked smart questions. I printed it, I laminated it, I stuck it on the fridge with magnets. Boom! Like dropping a truth bomb. People reacted fast. Steve rolled his eyes. My mom looked confused. The boys ignored it. But my sisters noticed. One of them even said, "Wow, I didn't know I was eating that much." Next week, I added more info. Date it was bought, date it was finished, how much it cost, how many people it affected. I added a whiteboard too. Anytime someone opened a snack, they had to write it down. Not a rule, just a suggestion. But the pressure? Oh, it was real. Then came the moment I knew I had won. My mom started hiding grocery bags in her room. She started buying smaller amounts of food and spreading it out over the week. She told Steve they needed real rules now. Not dumb speeches, not be nice. Real rules. Everyone got their own space in the fridge. Everyone had to write names on their food and say when they planned to eat it. Leftovers had names too. If your name wasn't on it, you couldn't touch it. Steve hated it. He said it was too much. He made fun of the rules to his sons like I was some mean boss. But even he couldn't deny it worked. His wallet was hurting. The boys stopped whining about being hungry because they finally learned how to stop eating everything in one day. By Tuesday, even my mom, who never gave me credit, actually said thank you. She told me the system helped. I didn't say anything back. I didn't need to. I turned this crazy mess into a business. I became the boss of the food problem. And the best part? It worked. The fridge stayed full longer. Snacks lasted to the middle of the week. No one took my food again. If someone wanted something of mine, they asked first. And that, just asking, that was a miracle. The spreadsheet stayed. The whiteboard got updated every day. And when I got my paycheck, I smiled. I didn't need to waste it on hiding food. I never screamed, never slammed doors, never begged for respect. I used logic. I turned all that passive-aggressive nonsense into numbers. I turned feelings into facts. Was I cold? Maybe. Was I clever? Absolutely. But I fixed what no one else would. I turned a broken system into something that finally worked. And for the first time all summer,